Good morning, beautiful people. It's flashing that it's getting broadcast. I hope it sorts itself out. Oh, it's a brisk morning this morning. I'm probably going to sneeze because, yeah, it's a little bit chilly, but also there's a pollen. Hey, unspoken bear, g'day. Look at that, though. Hey, Morgan, good to see you. Oh, I can feel a sneeze brewing. I know, unspoken bear, I haven't seen you for ages. How you doing? How are you both doing? So it's kind of brisk here. I think we're heading for a top of 16 degrees Celsius or 17 degrees Celsius today, so it's not a warm day. Whoops, look out. I've got my one hand in my pocket because it's cold. Just trying to work out whether we go to the big beach down below or we go to Red Ochre. I think we're going to go over to Red Ochre. Because Red Ochre I can take some little... Oh, look at these parrots. They're cockatoos. They're black cockatoos. And they've got yellow circles. I don't know if you got to see them or not, but they have yellow spots on their cheeks. And they're really big, like when they're in the tree opposite my house, because I'm up on stilts, I'm sort of level with the treetops. They're huge. They're a sign of rain, but, you know, one of those old wives' tales, but every time I see them it doesn't rain. It's very brisk though. So we'll go down to Red Ochre because it's just so calm and pretty. And also, I like taking you different places each time if I can. On different little tracks and stuff. Just keen to see how everyone's doing right now. Hopefully better than Boris Johnson. That was pretty full-on news to wake up to, but full-on in that all these people are saying, oh, well, if Boris Johnson can get it, anyone can. Well, I mean, if anyone can get it, anyone can, right? It's a fucking pandemic. It goes back to my live with Tom Hanks, which seems like forever ago now. But I made the observation that, weirdly, it does take a celebrity or somebody famous to catch it for some people to go, oh, okay, maybe this is a big deal. Human nature is strange. Oh gosh, I hope you guys are still with me because I seem to have frozen or something's going on. Or maybe you're just not chatting. Anywho. Oh, it's brisk on the nostrils and face. My cheeks are going to be so cold when I go home. And then I'll have a really lovely hot shower. Yeah, exactly, Morgan. Isn't it weird? I mean, if that's what it takes to get through to the people that are still downplaying it, then, you know, bring it on. I'm more interested in how their government functions if something happens to him, like, you know, political processes interest me, and what happens if he gets sicker. I want to see if these people, have a look at this. We've got this little thing happening down where I live. Well, it's happening all over Australia, possibly. See the teddy bear? So what people are doing is they're putting teddy bears out, like on their gates or sitting in the windows of their houses, so parents can put the kids in the car, their little kids, and go on a teddy bear hunt, which I think is quite cute. It's not really leaving home for an essential reason, which is the sort of situation we're in down here, but we are a really small community, little coastal community, and yeah, it's a good idea, I think. I guess even if they drive to the shops or a medical appointment and they've got to take their little ones with them, they can do some bear spotting on the way. God, this cold air is packing a punch, I can tell you. My nose is starting to get really runny and it's waking my chest up. Oh, it's cold. But I'm not complaining. I could have worn a beanie. In fact, next time I will. This is where I get my honey from. See, there's a little monkey bear thing on the post for the little teddy bear hunt. So while we're walking, I'll see if I spot any teddy bears. We'll do a teddy bear hunt. Ironically, I don't like stuffed toys. I'm a bit scared of teddy bears. Not scared in a they're going to kill me, but I just don't like the way they look at you. And I'm the same with dolls and clowns. I put on my Facebook today, what's a sound that you're missing? Because I'm really missing the sound of someone arriving at my house. I've got like a little wooden landing to my door, and the sound of footsteps on that landing, you know, letting me know that a family member or a friend's arrived to visit me. I'm really missing that. I like this walk too because you get to see the sort of view across to Mount Wellington, which is the mountain where the capital city of Tasmania is at the base of it. You can't see Hobart from here, but anyone into geography, it gives you a bit of perspective on sort of where I am in terms of near Hobart. It's about a 35-40 minute drive. It really depends on where you're going in the city and also traffic conditions. But usually for me it's about 35 minutes. It was to get to my office, which was on the edge of the city. Now I bumped into my mate Mike the other day on my walk and we started chatting, and I ended up ending my live because he was sort of filling me in on things that, not that it was highly controversial or anything like that, but we started having a pretty deep and meaningful. So hopefully if I bump into him today it won't get too full on. I have to end the live. Don't know about where you guys are, but tradies in Australia, especially tradies down where I live, they're booming because as a profession they kind of already social distance. You know, you don't usually see 3 roofing tradies sitting on a row together on the roof of a house. And it's great because people are home and they're suddenly like, oh, we can get those gutters cleaned, or we can get that fence fixed, or we can get the solar panels put on the house. Oh, there's a bit of surf coming into Red Ochre today. It's interesting. Or is it a wake from a boat? No, looks quite rough for where we're going. Normally this is dead calm where we're going. Might just be me walking along, I think. Or there's no one chatting. Such a weird thing. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Going live, like, I'm regretting not bringing a tissue now. If if I have to sneeze, I will sneeze into my elbow. Oh, the sun's nice though. You live with an electrician, he stayed busy. Yeah, isn't it great? I mean, there's so many good news stories coming out of all of this, and I mean, there's some really bad ones, but you know, I'm just loving the positive stories. Just the simple things are becoming so much more important. Even last night I was watching a story of a whole heap of people in Australia who've lost their job and jobs, and you know, are now getting unemployment benefits. And even just listening to them saying, oh, you know, there's always been this stigma. I mean, in Australia we refer to people on social security as dole bludgers, you know, like there's sort of a negative connotation. And now that this is potentially becoming the norm for a lot, although I still question whether the stigma will still exist, because the people that lost their jobs because of COVID-19 are now sort of in a unique club in a way, and they can sort of say, well, I would have never been on social security if it wasn't for COVID-19, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but you know, we're a country where we do look after our people, and if the stigma goes away and people stop being so judgmental and negative and critical, then that's a good thing. A bit slippery on this track today. But yeah, there's a fair bit of wave action happening at Red Oak that's usually dead calm and glassy. Uh-oh. Anyone want a bike? Yeah, I suspect that's been stolen and brought down here, and it looks like someone's tried to burn it. God, I don't even know if there's going to be any sand for me to walk on. It's high tide. Someone's ready for another fire pot. I'm not going to be able to walk, I don't think. I've never come over this way at this time of the day before. I'm usually on the other beach. But, yeah. She high tide, baby. I mean, I could go for a little stroll along the rocks, but that's going to be quite unpleasant for everyone, including me. I might actually go round to the normal beach. There's some beautiful swells happening at the other beach, so. But have a look at this. It's like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm the only one down here, probably because it's high tide, but pretty easy to social distance when you're the only person on a beach. I mean, there's a little bit of sand where I'm walking along here, but we'll take you around to the other beach. Let's see how many people are down there. I've got to say, we got inundated with people a couple of weekends ago down here, just like day trippers. Some people that were down here have shacks, and back then they were still able to go to their shacks, even though we were pretty much meant to be, you know, self-isolating and only leaving for medical appointments or, you know, essential shopping or to go to work or school. So they had to get a bit firm and say, nah, if you've got a shack, let's go along here. Oh no, we won't, because I can't get around the bluff. We'll just go this way. Pretty stunning though. Anne-Marie, hello. Doing well. How are you doing? It's a lovely morning. We've had a few really rainy days, so I'm like get out while... God, the surf over there is great. No surfers taking advantage of the swell on this side. I've never, every single time I've come to Radoka, it's been dead calm. Well, there's some people now coming down onto the beach up the other end with their dogs. I've never seen this swell before. Far out. Quirky. I mean, the wind is also blowing in a different direction. It's like coming straight at me at the moment. So you're doing well, Anne-Marie. That's great. Love the sea. Yep, so we'll walk back around to the big beach, and I'm basically going to do my walk to my track, and then I'll end it, because even the other day when I went live, I sat down on the dunes for probably not more than 5 minutes, but we're not really meant to do that. You're not meant to stop. Like, you can get out to exercise, but I felt really guilty. I'll give you some scenery while I walk. Although I love a dirt road, so a dirt road's kind of good scenery as far as I'm concerned. There you go. Bit of a sweeping view. But yeah, so a lot of people have actually started to stay at home. Australia's an interesting country at the moment because we're not in winter yet, and viruses love cold weather. But the bulk of our cases have come from a cruise ship, and like, I think it represents a third or a quarter of the deaths. We've had like 40 deaths so far. I mean, we don't have any sort of figures like other parts of the world, thank God, yet. I think going into winter could be a different story. I hope not, but it looks like you know, sort of self-isolating's working. It's at least it's keeping the figures down. We're not seeing anything like you guys in the States. I feel so sorry for you guys. It's just awful. Like 25,000 new cases overnight. What the fuck? When you think that, what is it now? I think it's like 1.3 million cases worldwide. When you have a look at America, the US, a shitload of those 1.3 million are in your country. Just stay safe, guys. I only go to supermarkets and home. Yeah, me too. Well, I exercise too. Not every day down here. I had when we had a lot of people at the beach, I ended up just walking around my block. I'm lucky I've got 3/4 of an acre. So I just went round and collected dry wood and branches and stuff off gum trees and put them all in some buckets so I can have some winter fire pots, which is another way I love to sort of, in terms of activities that, you know, make you chill out and whatever. Sit there and watch a burning fire makes me feel very calm for some reason. I am going to go to my local pharmacy tomorrow and get my first ever flu shot. I've never got them. I've worked in places where they've offered to pay for them for us, and yeah, I've never done it because, not that I'm an anti-vaxxer, but I just haven't had them done. I've had friends who've had them done who've ended up getting, I mean, obviously going to get sick from the shot. That's a given. But, and obviously the shot doesn't protect you from every flu strain. And don't even start me on the people that are saying, oh, the flu vaccine's not going to fix coronavirus. Yeah, no kidding, fuckface. It's a new virus. But I've had some friends who have had flu shots who've got incredibly sick, and I've just been like, well, you know, I'm a bit for letting my body create antibodies and so on, but I'm at an age now where I think it's smart. And a friend of mine who's a doctor, who's had to have one this year because they pretty much, it's compulsory, but doctors were also given the option in the past. He's never had one before, but when we were chatting the other night, I said, should I be getting one? And he's like, yep, do. Just because if you got the flu and then you got COVID-19, you'd be fucked, I reckon. There's still a lot of surfers down here, but you can still exercise. You are supposed to exercise in your local area, and there's a lot of people still coming down here that are not local. But I used to get really fired up about it, and then I was just like, it's not my problem now. If they're doing the wrong thing and cops come down here and catch them, then that's their problem, you know. I kind of wanted to be a bit of an advocate and a bit of an activist and try and, you know, get the message out there. And I just copped so much abuse from people, including really good friends, that I've just gone, oh well, you know, I'm not the only person on Facebook saying stay home, save lives. But for some reason, because I was interviewed for 40 seconds on a radio program on Monday last week, I kind of got attacked like I was the one who made that rule. So yeah, I've let go of it. It was causing me undue anxiety, and the whole community's in the same boat. We've noticed all these people that have been coming down. I mean, there's quite a few people on the beach this morning. But I've met some people that live down here, but because they work and they commute a lot, you don't ever meet them, and that's been great. But they're, you know, someone said to me, oh, they're probably all just people you haven't seen before, that, you know, because they work all the time. It's like, yeah, but the people who ask me how to get to the beach, they're not fucking local. The shop that is saying every time, I mean, I've only been to our local shop probably twice in the last month, but the people in the shop are commenting on how they don't recognise 80% of the people in the shop each day. You know, local businesses have noticed it. Other locals who go on the beach every day like I do have noticed it. I'm not some sort of scaremongering freak that's just decided all by myself that there's people down here that don't live here. And the fact that there's signs up saying stay in your suburb and please go home, like, this isn't some invention of mine. So yeah, it was stressing me out, and now I'm just like, well, yeah, if people are doing the wrong thing, if cops have to start manning beaches, and I think they will man our beaches over Easter, because this is a very densely populated shack community, and they may need to have some cops down here, or some security guards or whatever, just checking people's licenses and seeing if they're local or not over Easter. But yeah, I'm just letting it go. Sometimes just trying to do the right thing, can bite you in the bum. You're right, Morgan, can only control yourself. Yep. And, you know, the interview was basically, have there been an exorbitant number of people at your beach over the last few days? Yes, there have. That's why there are now signs up saying stay in your suburb. That's why businesses are talking about only letting people shop in them if they've got a license or a rates notice or something that shows that they live in the area. Like, it was literally a, what was it like? And I was basically said, there were a fuckload of people down here, and there are beaches all over Australia being closed because people aren't doing the right thing. And this isn't about me being selfish and saying I want the beach to myself. I want this community to be able to walk on the beach. It's part of, we chose to move to beaches because it's our lifestyle. We love surfing or swimming or walking on the beach, and there's so many people that live down here who, you know, their mental health is going to stay, or is going to be much less stressed out by being able to do things like walk on the beach each day without fear of someone, you know, being near them who's brought the virus into the area. And look, I mean, where I live, I think we've got 88 cases now, and I think out of those 88, about 14 have recovered, and a lot of them are a long way from here. But I feel like people keep saying, oh, there's not that many cases here, you're panic mongering, you're fear mongering. I'm like, no, I think we're actually all being trained as people on how to handle this if the figures start to go up. Like, if Australia does get whacked in the arse by this virus when winter comes, we've already learned how to self-isolate, we've already learned how to social distance, so it's not going to be that traumatic. You know, it's the fact that we've only got 88 cases at the moment. I think it's 88 too many, but there's only 500,000 people on this island, so 88 is quite a lot. You know, but whatever. It's not my job to convince people that right now it's about being responsible and it's not about what you fucking want as an individual. And I said to someone the other day, you know, it's not going to kill us, but being a fuckwit might. I mean, that's another statistic that's becoming very prevalent in the UK and in the US, is a significant number of people in their 50s are now getting it. Yeah, the city in Spain. Yeah, is it? You could be right. I can't remember. I did read about it. And yeah, it'll still get there though, because someone will still do the wrong thing and take it into a community that's so far managed to keep it at bay, and that's what people don't get. But the other thing is, yeah, a lot of experts, doctors, nurses, scientists, etc., are talking about how they're getting a significant number of people in their 50s now, and I feel like emailing some of them and just saying, well, a lot of the young kids that went to spring break in Florida, who were on the beach in Bondi in Australia a few weeks ago, or who were at Carnival in New Orleans, they're the kids of people in their 50s, right? Like, everyone I know in their, not everyone, the majority of people I know in their 50s are kind of going, well, it's a short-term sacrifice for the greater good. We're Gen Xers, we know how to entertain ourselves. I'm never going to have a Facebook status that says I'm bored, ever. But yeah, I just think that could be a common, like, I'm fascinated by the patterns, what we can learn from other countries that have been so heavily hit. Like, for example, in Italy, 78% of the people who have contracted COVID-19 are on hypertension medications. Like, may not mean anything, but doesn't that seem like a fucking massive percentage? Is it possible that those medications are making people vulnerable, even though people who are normally on those medications aren't more likely to get pneumonia or respiratory issues than anyone else? And the same with all these people. God, there's so many people just doing their thing, which is great. But trust me, I've lived here for 5.5 years, and it doesn't matter if you're down here at 7 a.m, now like 8:30, 9-ish, 3 p.m, 5 p.m, 7 p.m. There's way more people than there used to be, which is obviously partly because a lot of people are working from home. But yeah, there's a lot. And the other thing I've noticed is I seem to be the one that's either walking up into the sand dunes or out into the water to get away from people. A lot of them are just like on their little designed path, and they don't kind of get out of the fucking way. See, your mum's in her 50s. Yeah, so I'm like sort of curious about patterns, and the UK in particular, they're very, well, they're really questioning why. That was a person that just wasn't going to move, so I just stayed right up in the friggin' sand dunes. They're questioning in the UK why there's such a huge number of people in their 50s now. And I'm like, well, they're probably, you know, quite happily self-isolating at home, and then that little fucking 20-year-old or 17-year-old or 23-year-old who's been out partying all fucking night is bringing it into the house. That's my theory. I'm not saying all of them, but it's not people in their 50s that are lying on beaches. When you look at the photos of, you know, 30 or 40 people lying on a beach, if you can find a 50-year-old in that photo, it'll be a cop or someone who's been paid to try and keep people off the beach. Like, you won't see a 50-year-old lying around in a bikini with half a dozen of her friends all lying around in bikinis. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I wonder if that's a possible explanation. I mean, when it first broke in China, and we're all being told about washing our hands and not touching our face, I had a theory that in China, because not just because people who smoke are more likely to get it, but smoking, you're putting your hand to your face all the time, right? So I had a theory that one of the reasons it was hitting so many men, and don't get me wrong, women in China smoke as well, but I would say more men do. There are certainly countries in the world, I think Australia, more women smoke than men, but yeah, that was a pattern that right at the start that I was like, I wonder if that's got something to do with it, you know, bad hygiene and people smoking, they're touching their faces. So if they've touched anything with the coronavirus on it, and then they light up a ciggy and they're constantly putting the cigarette to their mouth, like ka-ching. Lady Pegasus, good morning. I am actually at my track. I was going to end this when I got here because we're not meant to stop. And there's just quite a lot of people, more than usual. I mean, you guys do these walks with me, so I mean, it's not a crazy number, and I think because it's high tide, there's not a lot of room, but it just feels busy. It's not as busy as it has been down here, but yeah. So your mum's from San Francisco, self-isolated right away. Yeah, so it's just a theory I've got. I follow the CoronaCast podcast in Australia, which I love, and you can send in emails with questions. So I'm actually going to email Dr. Norman Swan with some of the patterns that I'm looking at, and just wondering what doctors and scientists are making of it. I mean, when I had a long chat with a friend of mine the other night who's a doctor, I did actually ask him, you know, if Tasmania could essentially become not coronavirus free, but could we get to a point where it's really contained? That bird is chasing Barry. There's Bazza, the local whore bird. Bazza, you slut. Yeah, you know, if we had the potential as a little island to keep this really contained, and he said, yeah, that's a very naive opinion. Like, he put me back in my box very quickly. G'day, Raven. Hello. I don't like walking up through the sand dunes doing a lot. Well, actually, let's do it. But the sand dunes are really steep, and for the sake of me not stopping to catch my breath every 5 minutes and making a dick out of myself, I will stop and pause and reflect a few times while we walk up here. Even my healthiest friends find these dunes, they may not look that steep to you guys, but we kind of go from sea level to halfway up a hill very quickly. But yeah, Boris Johnson, right? Richard, how are you? Oh my God, I nearly started a live yesterday. I shit you not. Where the fuck is Richard? I seriously was going to start a live. How are you, mate? You had a dream last night of a comet. It was just hanging in the sky, a long tail falling to the horizon. I didn't feel concerned. What does it mean? I don't think I've still... Oh, sorry, mate. Social distance into the shrubbery. Have a nice swim. I don't think I've got my dream dictionary. I might have. I'll have a look, mate. I'll get back to you. Unless we've got a dream interpreter in chat who can explain to Richard what that means. Yeah, I've heard about the 5G conspiracy theory. Fucking ridiculous. And it didn't help that a heap of celebrities weighed in on it too. Fucking wankers, honestly. It's proven by science that this emanated in China from an animal to human. That it's proven. The DNA in the virus proves that. Fucking idiots. Like we really need conspiracy theories right now, you know? I'm on 5G. I've been on 5G for, God, I don't know, 2 years. I ain't dead. I will stop in this little Lord of the Rings like Everglades. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, people are that stupid, lady peckers. I mean, look at how this thing has spread. That shows how stupid people are. Look at the number of people still going out in crowds and flocking to beaches and farmers markets. People are stupid. This virus, when it was born, was like, what living creature on the planet can I infect that will spread it the most quickly because of stupidity? And ka-ching! Human beings. I can backpack on those fuckers and travel the world in an alarming rate of knots and destroy shitloads of people. Look at me go. Everyone is going a bit nuts. Morgan, you are right. I have missed you, Richard, and I know everyone in chat's missed you too. I'm not about in the evenings for your cooking. I'm too drunk by then and in bed. Hey, you do what you got to do. G'day, Ivor. I didn't wake you up. Oh, did anyone see that? A little wallaby just... It was very quick. Where are we in the video? 39 minutes and 40-something seconds. On the replay, slow it right down, a little wallaby just jumped across the track. No, I didn't wake you up, Dulles, because I didn't think you'd be asleep. It was a very spur-of-the-moment thing too. I did put something on Facebook as well. And... set a reminder, but it was a very spur of the moment thing. Because I actually listened to your mate this morning, Ivor, talking about his Prime Minister. I don't know why he came on, but my YouTube sort of puts recommended videos up, and I've got autoplay on, and I end up watching and listening to all kinds of random shit. But yeah, every time I see that knob, I think of you now, Ivor. Every time. So yeah, I was listening to him this morning while I was doing biscuits routine, which is quite high maintenance. And I eventually sort of, well, no, he ended up having a woman that came up on panel who's an ambulance driver, retired, in New York City. And her husband is a, yeah, it is steep, that's why I'm stopping. Because I can keep chatting if I stop a fair bit, but if I walked my normal walk to the top, where I have to stop and catch my breath for about a minute before I then tackle my hill that I live on. Not my hill, but the hill I live on. But yeah, this chick rang in, and she's a retired ambulance driver, and her husband's a retired firey, and he's also an electrician, and he's been seconded to go to Long Island to help with electrical installations in all of the pop-up hospitals, and she's been transporting people to hospitals in the ambulance, and she was really interesting. She had no fucking idea who Boris Johnson was, but thanks, Richard, you're doing well talking. I know, I'm doing all right for a still slightly overweight 53-year-old woman with poor lifestyle choices. It is steep, and I love it because I can feel it going up through my calf muscles and the back of my thighs. Feels great. I don't know why, but I love the feeling of my muscles waking up. My neighbour and I are going to social distance. Morning. Cheery neighbour. Happy social distancer. Not really. I mean, I don't think this is 1.5 meters wide, but you know, we don't have any cases down here at the moment, so look at that. That's for you, Lady Pegasus. It is a beautiful morning here. How's it for you up in the Northwest Dales? I love that view. I love it when I come on my walks and just see that. Well, I love the view from everywhere, really. No, this chick was legit. It's the only reason I'm sorry. I just had to get the, how bizarre is that? I had to get the keyboard off my screen, and in so doing, tapped a couple of letters that spelled doctor. Bizarre. I like the abbreviated version of doctor. How random's that? I think that's random. But yeah, she was legit, and it was interesting. He's not a great interviewer, but she was American, so she kind of just delivered a monologue anyway. But yeah, Boris has not improved. Boris has got worse, and he's now in intensive care in a UK hospital. And unfortunately, some of these fuckwits that have been going, oh, it's not that big a deal, might now pay attention because it's a Prime Minister of a country. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to me. Look at that view. Yeah, isn't Tassie stunning? The mountains in the background, well, do you mean like over that way? Or that way? because that way, that's the Tasman Peninsula, where Port Arthur is. So you drive through or past the little coastal town where I am to head down to Port Arthur. And yeah, there's a heap of little coastal communities along the way. And then on this side, you've basically got Lauderdale just out of view where my sister lives. And that heads right down to Clifton Beach, another huge surf beach that's actually closed now because, not because of dickheads, but all of our national parks got closed. And Clifton Beach is part of a national park. Yeah, Boris, I've had the same feelings, Lady Pegasus. I mean, I hope not, but, well, I don't want anyone to die from it, you know. It goes without saying. But, yeah, I think once you're in ICU, the stats for surviving are pretty grim. But, you know, it might make some people who think this isn't a big deal grow the fuck up. And, you know, it pisses me off. It has to be somebody famous. It has to be a celebrity. It has to be Tom Hanks. It has to be Boris Johnson. But fuck it, if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Is Dover? No, Dover is south of the Huon Valley, which is on the other side of the river. And, I mean, there are some mountains and hills way off in the distance. The outline's fairly... Can I zoom in? Where that bluff is, it's currently sort of lit up by the sun. Beyond that, you can see some mountains and hills. Very much just an outline. But that is like heading down into that would be mountains along the edge of the Huon Valley. Sort of, and Dover's even further south of that. Yes, she is pregnant and has the virus as well. She's doing okay though. She's doing okay. She's young and luckily they got on top of her. She's doing okay. So, but you know, it'll always confuddle me that we put so much importance and emphasis on our celebrities and our leaders and our athletes. And yeah, it sucks that he's got it. It sucks that everyone's got it who's got it. It sucks that so many people have already been killed by it. But if it does make people go, oh, well, he's got access to the best healthcare in the world and he didn't survive it, maybe they'll sit up and listen, you know. But it's part of our culture that I'm never going to understand. But, you know, Kylie Minogue getting breast cancer led to a huge spike in people getting themselves tested, and a lot of people survive breast cancer because of that. So I can see the benefit of it. It's just the mentality of it that I struggle with. Boris got on top of her. You don't know. She might have got pregnant when she was on top, Richard. Jesus, the last thing I thought I'd be talking about on my morning walk is Boris Johnson having sex. Even though I know that he has, because he's got a pregnant partner, but still. Alright, I'm going to keep walking. I'll end the live at my house. I'll actually show you my house because you hear me talking about it a lot, but you don't see the house itself. See bits of it. I'll have to be careful what I show you though. I've got mattresses from my camper van being aired and washed down in my driveway at the moment and all sorts of stuff. Morning. I'm waiting for Lady Pegasus to go, don't dox yourself. The visuals of Boris shagging. Great's not a word I'm thinking of. Gross. But I'm keen to see how how the UK system is set up for dealing with this. I mean, I don't want to be fatalistic and say if he dies, but you know, governments have got things in place for when presidents, prime ministers die. You know, we had a prime minister who went for a swim and never came back. I'm trying to give you a nicer visual, Richard. Get that Boris shagging visual out of your brain. So I'm standing in front of a shack at the moment, and they've done the right thing. They're not down here. There's no sign saying I pay rates, I'm entitled to use my shack. No, over Easter you're not. You're not. Unless you chose it as your primary residence. I think they had till midnight a week ago on I can't remember if it was Monday or I think it was Monday, to choose which of their many homes they were going to spend lockdown at, or not lockdown but self-isolation. I had actually heard of doxing before because I've got a huge community on Facebook, and most of them, half of them are American, so we've had to kick members out for years now for doxing. But yeah, it was a new concept when it first happened in our group, but unfortunately I've had members doxing other members, and people have lost jobs and relationships have ended, all kinds of weird shit. I'm now visualising nurses wrestling a ventilator from a patient saying your country needs exactly for Boris. Yep, me too. You guys keep your details pretty secure. I can find all my info in like 10 seconds. Yeah, we even with our criminal law cases, like, names are suppressed so often. But even after the event, if I tried to Google in, unless it was a high profile case and a newspaper reported on it, if I tried to get the details of the sentencing or a mugshot, you can't get it. And, you know, I mean, my podcast, I do cover crimes in Australia, and quite often when I tell the story, there's no names. Whereas with America, I'm like, you know, Barry Smith, 26 of Red Oak Drive, Michigan, or whatever, not Michigan, but you know what I mean, like of Kansas City, Missouri, Garfield, Missouri. You can get their addresses, phone numbers, mugshots, rap sheets, the works. It's crazy. Now you know that street you're coming to lick my windows. Can't wait either. Can't wait. So this is my home here. So when I explain that it's on stilts, it's on stilts. Probably shouldn't put my car in the shop, but it's one of my 3 cars. Well, one's a work car. But yeah, so this is my house. So when I say I'm on stilts and I'm sort of in the treetops, you know, there's the treetops there. My view is pretty much what you're seeing, although slightly higher, and I can see right down to Carlton River. But yeah, there's the front of my house. Cute, huh? Let's go up here a bit. I love the view from up here. I mean, my house looks bigger than it is because it's on stilts. It's high, but it's a really cute little, it is 3 bedroom, but yeah, that's a nice little view, don't you think? What's that? You live in a tourist area, and the government here have warned people not to travel to the Central Coast and other areas. If they do, they'll be fine. Yeah, and I mean, the government and the councils and everything are doing the same thing here as well, but it doesn't mean people are going to not do it. And, you know, I had people I know complaining on Facebook yesterday that their L-plater kids can't go for drives at the moment, and, you know, a woman in Victoria, her learner driver was fined yesterday, and they were saying, oh, it'd be a great way to clock up hours, you know, and the streets aren't as busy, blah, blah, blah. But what they're not getting is, if you stop for petrol, if you have an accident and people have to attend at your accident, if you decide to do a quick little drop in to grandma on the way home, any of that sort of shit, suddenly it becomes a major deal. I don't think it's clear yet on learner drivers, and to be honest, I don't have anyone in my life who's a learner driver, so it's not something I'm overly concerned about. But everyone keeps saying, so what if I just drive down to my shack? It's like, yeah, but your shack's an hour and a half away. You're going to have to stop for petrol. You'll probably stop for supplies in the local shops. Like, if you just got in your car and drove somewhere and didn't have an accident or didn't get a flat tire or anything like that, there's all these things that can happen. I just wish people could just realise this isn't forever. You know, if we do it right, it can be a matter of weeks and we're all back to, not back to our normal lives, because the social distancing stuff's still going to happen. And a lot of people will still isolate because they're now working from home, and they don't need to go back to the office. Why would you, right? If your boss lets you stay at home, well, and you're being productive, no reason to shift you back into an office. But yeah, people are carrying on like this is, you know, the new world order, and we've all been told these are the new rules for the next decade. Perspective is so important right now. Imagine having to wait at least 6 months to get your licence. Yeah, I don't agree about the fine in Victoria. I think that'll get dropped. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, it's not just a lot of this shit that's been reported, people that are on the other side of it, the cops and so on, they're still learning it all too, right? So, you know, we've got flexibility to drop fines and do the right thing. But, you know, it's not like people are necessarily assholes and are just fining everyone willy-nilly. It's the only story out of Australia where it's happened. It's possible that person just didn't think that driving 30 kilometres away from your home, which is how far away they were, was okay. And I agree with that. It's not their local area. Like if you live in a suburb, you can drive around your suburb with your kid in the car to clock up time. You don't have to drive 30 kilometres away. So, you know, I don't think that person was doing it to be a jerk. I genuinely think they went, well, you're 30 kilometres away. You're meant to exercise and stay in your local area. You can go to your local shops. You can go to your local medical centre. If it's in a nearby town, that's where you can go. But 30 k's away? Come on. Can you hear the waves break? I can. I have my windows open in my bedroom every night, even in the middle of winter. You can't hear them? Because, yeah, I can hear them even just standing here now. Oh, my stomach is rumbling. I need breakfast. The New Zealand Health Minister just got demoted for going out. Rightly so. Learning to drive. It is still education. I wish I hadn't brought that up because, like I said, I'm not that invested in it. I don't really care. But I don't disagree with you, Lady Pegasus. I agree it's education. But you don't have to educate your kid how to drive 30 kilometres away from your area. That is my point. And apparently they did stop and visit Grandma. So, you know, I don't know. That wasn't the note I wanted to end my live on. I just wanted to check in and see how everyone was doing. I wanted to mention the Boris Johnson thing because I'm hoping that he survives it. I hope everyone who catches it survives it. But if, unfortunately, it takes someone like Boris Johnson to not survive it for people to actually stop being dickheads, then as sad as it is, you know, I just wish we didn't put so much importance on athletes and rock stars and actors and famous people, you know. Why aren't the 79,000 people that have already died enough reason to do the right thing? So, on that note, I'm signing off. Take care, everyone. I'll be live again sometime soon. Not as brisk as it was an hour ago when I left.
Yeah, no, the nights are starting to get a bit chillier.
They sure are. Yeah, take care everyone, and I will go live again fairly soon. I had fun doing the peanut butter cookies the other day, the 3-ingredient one, so I'm going to look for another fun recipe that we can do with things that we've probably got in our pantries already. But yeah, just stay home, save lives, be kind, thank you so much for joining me. And if anyone does watch this replay, I hope you've enjoyed the beach walk too. You can always put comments in my comments section under the video. Hit the like button on your way out, and stay groovy, everyone. Love you heaps. See you soon.